Mirrors. They can be scary as shit. Welcome to Night 10 of 31 Days of Horror. Tonight we're going to talk about Poltergeist 3, the black sheep of that series. Compared to the first two entries in the Poltergeist series, Part 3 is not great, but in rewatching it, I found a new appreciation for the practical effects that they used and the overall creepiness of the film. Now, it's a slow burn. Starting off, you really just hear Preacher Cain's voice. It's haunting him. And Carol Ann sees him, in mirrors, and there's the window washer scene, which is kind of creepy. But now living with her uncle, played by Tom Skerritt. Gotta love Tom Skerritt. His new wife and his daughter, Carol Ann's new cousin. Little Carol Ann brings with her the evils to the new location, which is a high-rise in Chicago. Now I know what you're asking, how? In Poltergeist 2, they kind of fixed the problem. Well, the school that Carol Ann is going to, the headmaster is a psychologist who hypnotizes her and makes her talk about what happened. He believes that she can make other people see things. She can hypnotize people into seeing what she's describing. And so he is a unbeliever, where most of the adults in the movie, almost everybody in the movie, is an unbeliever until like the third act. Throughout the movie, the evil is seen in mirrors again and again and again. And the practical effects are fucking phenomenal in this movie. The mirrors are, like, the very first thing that happens is the mirror cracks. The building has mirrors that go all the way up every floor has mirrors that go up it. And from the very first floor all the way up to the top floor, there's a crack that runs all the way up these mirrors in the same place on each floor. But the mirrors capture and present the evil. Scene after scene, the creepiness builds and builds towards Preacher Cain's and the Poltergeist's inevitable return. Now, the acting is not phenomenal. The actress that plays Carol Ann, she wasn't great in any of the three movies. She does a decent job here, and she's given more to do. She's a little bit older, and of course, she died during the filming of this movie. She had health issues, and they misdiagnosed her, and she ended up dying. And you can see from scene to scene when she was a little bit healthier and when she was clearly being affected by her health issues. Her face gets a little bit chubbier and stuff. But the acting's not great. But the story itself is a pretty decent continuation of Carol Ann's struggle against Preacher Cain and these entities from the other side. Faced with Preacher Cain's return, Carol Ann tries to deal with it herself because none of the adults believe that what she's gone through in the 2 previous films was real. She was sent to live with her aunt. Scarrett's new wife is the sister of Coach from the first 2 movies. Okay. So his family sends Carol Ann to live with them, and we don't know where they are during the movie. Basically, they just didn't sign up for the 3rd movie, so they had to, figure it out. But left alone in the new high-rise, Carol Ann does her best to evade Preacher Cain's attacks and try to hide from him until eventually she's caught by him and brought into the other side, along with her cousin. There's not as many horrifying effects and creatures in this movie as there are in the first 2. You don't get the pool full of skeletons or the brace metal coming out and wrapping up the kid. What you get is a lot of holes with hands coming out of them, holes in walls with people coming in and out of them, and the mirror effects are amazing. With the amazing practical effects this movie has, it's definitely worth a rewatch. I can completely understand why this is the less of the 3 Poltergeist movies. It's not as interesting as the first one. It's not as intense as the second one. But just the scene where the cousin is walking down the hallway and you can see the entire hallway, and this side of the hallway is all the doors, and she's walking down the hallway, and this side is all mirrors, and on this side all of the doors are open and Preacher Cain is looking at her, but on this side all the doors are closed. Really just good in-camera effects, It's 100% a slow burn, but when it gets scary, it completely puts today's ghost stories to shame. Completely. The scene where the cousin's boyfriend breaks out of the frozen over pool and he's just covered in ice and he's just walking on top of this pool that's covered in ice. It shouldn't be as scary as it is, but damn, is it good. It's just definitely worth a rewatch. If you're a fan of 1 and 2, I think if you rewatch 3, you would appreciate it a little better now than maybe the last time you saw it. It's one of those movies where you watched it, the first time you watched it, and you're like, okay, good job. But in rewatching it, I kind of got an appreciation for it. It's definitely not bad. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 burritos because of the practical effects and the slow burn. The script's not great. I'm not going to herald the script and say they did a great job with it, but it's a good continuation of Carol Ann's story. And the in-camera special effects are just impressive. You don't see it anymore. Everything's CGI these days. And Although this was done, I think late 80s, early 90s. It's pretty impressive to see practical effects, you know? So, in no way does it live up to Poltergeist 1 or 2. But it is a decent third in a line of truly scary movies. So, give it another shot if you've seen it before. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I could be completely wrong as far as your viewing goes, but I don't know. It wasn't as bad as I remembered it being, So, I haven't seen the remake, but I hear they did away with or removed everything that made the original scary. Like, it's not on a Indian burial ground. And, I mean, in the original movie, Coach yelling, "You only move the headstones," that alone, the realization there was fucking terrifying. I still remember that. Poltergeist 2 is, I believe, the reason I have issues with religion, because Preacher Cain shows up and that dude is evil from get-go, but he's just full on talking about how, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, 3 out of 5 burritos. Definitely worth a rewatch, in my opinion. Yep. So that was Night 10 of 31 Days of Horror. Check back in with us tomorrow and see what we watch for day 11. See you around.